There you go. We're recording.
All right. Okay, beginning of a month. It's like the best. It's like they say in Tale of Two Cities, it's the best of times, it's the worst of times. It's exciting to start a new month, but I think it's always like you open your back office and everyone sees zero, not qualified, and you're always starting over. So, but June is going to be awesome. If you haven't already seen it, Heidi went live in the team page and chatted about some of the stuff coming up this month and why it's super awesome. Let me just shut this door. Hold on. The sale alone is pretty cool to be able to speak to people about. Like they never do that. Like 140 is insane. But at the same time, it doesn't matter how much it is if people don't understand the value. Like that was one thing I feel like I have learned multiple times. Like sometimes offering people seeing a discount, if they really truly see the value and are ready to go, that can sway them. But if they don't see the value, it's not going to matter if it's $50 or $500. It doesn't matter. The price doesn't matter. What matters is that they see the value. So we got to make sure we're sharing that consistently. So what I wanted to talk about a little bit, since we're at the beginning of the month, we're setting goals. If you haven't already set your goals for the month, take a minute and do that today. Do it during the call if you haven't already done it. Because if you don't know where you want to go, then it's hard to decide what you're going to do. And setting up what your goal is for the month lets you back out of that and know what you need to be doing each day. So think about that just a little bit as I'm talking. I think at the beginning of the month, we're in kind of one of two places. Either we had an awesome month last month, and so we're feeling like momentum, excited, successful, ready to roll forward with that, or we missed our goals for the month and we're like, not that you necessarily feel bad about that, but you could be feeling like, oh, that lull that sometimes comes after you miss a goal. And what you do after either of those two things can make a big difference. So I wanted to talk about what to do from either place. So let's talk for a minute about if you rocked last month and how you might be feeling right now. And I'm just going to talk about what my experience has been, because I've had amazing months and I've had really hard months. And this business goes like this. And so this is just from my experience. So maybe you won't relate to everything that I'm talking about, but this is kind of what I've learned. Rocked last you the momentum to then start this month super strong. Just take off from where you left off and just keep going. Like that's what you want to do. That's your ideal. Don't take your foot off the gas. Work on hitting Success Club early again this month and just keep growing from where you were last month. But sometimes we have this tendency to be like, oh yeah, I've got this down now, and almost inadvertently we can kind of start to just coast along, and it's like, oh, it's the first week of the month. Like there's no deadline right now, so I can just kind of like do my thing. If I don't invite these couple days of the week, it won't really matter because it's the first week of the month. And that turns into the second week of the month, and then all of a sudden you're at the end of the month and you're like, oh crap, now I have to really hustle hard. And so you don't want to find yourself caught in that place, because then all of a sudden your great momentum that you had stops, and then you have to build it up again. And so be careful to not let yourself do that. And it kind of ties into this principle called upper limiting yourself from what was that book, Heidi? I cannot place it.
Was that Maxwell?
It wasn't Maxwell. It was somebody else. It'll probably come to me. Anyway, the idea of it is that we create success, or we experience success, and then almost subconsciously we place a limit on ourselves, like that's as far as we can go, or we can't rise beyond it, or whatever. And it's often totally subconscious that we don't realize we're even doing that. And once I was aware of this, I see it showing up all the time in multiple aspects of my life, where I'm suddenly like holding myself back from achieving more without realizing it almost, or just feeling like I've reached this upper limit of what I can do and I can't go beyond that. And we do it to ourselves. Like, it's super common. You'll see it all around you. And so I think in this business, it's really easy to do that when you've had a successful month, to be like, oh, like, that's all I can do. Or we almost self-sabotage so we don't rise beyond that, or so we don't keep being successful. So just watch out for that. Go ahead.
Just because you're talking about this, I saw in my upline crew, so like my upline, all the Star Diamonds, a lot of them were freaking out last month and having a really hard month. And what had happened was the cruise happened, and so they hit Success Club early in March, and then April, they had to hustle in April to get the momentum back. And then once they hit it in April, they had all felt like, oh, I hit it. And so they just all like kind of laid back. And then that played into May. So then they had to really struggle to get their momentum up. So it happens even when you hit Success Club. If you